Hello, my name is Alan Jacobson, and I am the producer of this show along with Flo Creed-Jacobson Initiative. We're located in Stoughton, Mass., and we're a mindfulness organization that teaches mindfulness to children in elementary schools and adults in rehab centers. And this is our first show. I'd like to introduce our panel first. Alison Ward is a board-certified child and adolescent psychiatrist who trained at Brown Medical School and then at Walter Reed Army Medical School. She spent 13 years on active duty in the Army and another 17 in Reserve Medical Corps. Most recently, she has worked for Health and Human Services, leading a team of behavioral health professionals who take care of migrant children entering the country without parents or legal guardians. Ellen Bruder Abramowitz, thank you for being here. Ellen Bruder Abramowitz is Vice President of Housing and Community Initiatives of Community Counseling of Bristol County, CCBC. She began working at CCBC in November of 2007, where she's a member of a senior management team and is responsible for the oversight of the supportive housing programs and other prevention and wellness community initiatives. Ms. Bruder Abramowitz is involved in many critical initiatives across Bristol County focused on wellness, prevention, and ending homelessness. And next in line is Dr. Ron Pacy. Ron Pacy describes himself as a lifelong learner and a seeker of truth. He has advanced degrees in education, history, literature, and business. He has spent more than 3 scores in education. So Ron has been serving for 60 years, teaching from grade 4 through graduate school. He served as a public school administrator for over 25 years, retiring as a superintendent. Thank you for being here, Ron. And the last lady at the table is DaJuste. Addie grew up in a pastoral home with Christian principles. She lives by the golden rule. She has been working in the Boston public schools for the past 25 years at the elementary school level. For the past 2 years, her current administrative position is to evaluate and elevate the teaching capacities of 27 teachers at her school. Addie founded and is the president of a nonprofit named Destiny Restored Ministries. I'm Alan Jacobson. I'm a Navy veteran and the father of 2 children and an amazing 17-year-old grandson. I'm a certified mindfulness teacher, co-owner of Wings Wellness Massage Therapy. I'm the founder and president of the Flo Creed-Jacobson Initiative, and we are teaching mindfulness to the women and men enrolled in a 90-day rehab program at CCBC for co-occurring issues of substance use and mental health challenges. Over the past several years, I've been a volunteer with Horizons for Homeless Children, Old Colony Hospice, and have been a teacher with literacy volunteers. So if we go to the first question or area, is what is your main purpose in life right now in the arc of your life? And you just retired not too long ago.
Right. So I would say that I'm in a very significant transition, having spent the majority of my adult life with children at home. I have 5 children who range in age from 23 to 37. So been a mom for a long time. And I also just left my federal position and have worked continuously since I graduated from college, more than a couple of years ago. And so I'm figuring out, what is the balance? Am I going to do any more professional work? What am I going to do in terms of self-care, in terms of hobbies, taking care of older members of my family, visiting my children, having my children visit. So I'm really focused on myself and a balance of life in a way that I haven't been in a long time. So it's exciting, but it's also, it feels really new to be focused on those things.
All right. Thank you. Ellen.
Very focused on Stoughton, but also I've been working my whole career with a principle that I started with at a very young age, and that's Tikkun Olam. Tikkun Olam means to repair the world. My parents instilled that in me at a very young age, that we're brought here to do good and to do things to change the world. And so my main purpose in life is to repair the world by supporting individuals and families experiencing homelessness and behavioral health conditions to move forward in their life with a life of recovery and stability. You know, it could happen to anybody watching this show. You never know. We're experiencing some serious difficulties in our country right now, and you know, homelessness is something that everybody thinks will happen to someone else. But many folks in our town and in other local towns have experienced loss of work or loss of abilities, and housing is a very difficult thing, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So that is my purpose in life, to help people feel good about themselves, that they can be stable and move forward as productive adults.
Thank you. Ron?
Yes. I found that as we exist and as we grow older, the key thing that keeps us sort of in this world is our affinity with others. That when alone together as human beings. And so my main purpose is to form affinity with as many people as I can. And my goal really is to treat people with tolerance, with love, with generosity. There's very little else that is important, I think, than just being in the world with people and trying to find, you know, as Ellen says, find ways to make this a better world.
Yes.
Thank you. Addie?
Well, my main purpose in life, basically, I mean, for right now, is like I would like to finish the few weeks that are remaining of the school year. However, on a serious note, my main purpose basically is to be a blessing to others, and just to echo the words of Ellen and Ron, it's like you're placed on this earth to be a blessing, to connect with other people, and sometimes it could be just a smile that you share, or just providing or supporting someone with shelter, or providing them with groceries, or be a friend. So, and I think that's my main purpose in life, just to extend a helping hand, just, you know, to be the friend to the friendless, to stand for those who are not able to stand for themselves, to speak for those who are not able to speak for themselves. And I think that's my main purpose in life, other than, you know, teaching.
My purpose is to try to be a conduit and a vessel for love and understanding. So it sounds like we're pretty much on the same page with that. And the question is, how can I be most effective, you know, with what I know in life to help the most people? So when I work with the folks at CCBC, I get the most joy in my life in those hours I spend with them during the week. So the next question is, and we can go in the same order if that's okay. What do you think the main challenge in our society is as it relates to people's happiness and ability to enjoy life? So it's a quality of life question. And you can answer it any way you want, but you may want to look at the macro and the micro, or either way, be fine.
I mean, I think, first of all, we are in a society that is not necessarily good at meeting everyone's basic needs. So we can't be thinking about some of these higher order things unless we think about, do people have shelter? Do they have food? Do they have medical care? And some of those necessities are becoming less and less likely to be available. So once we are able to meet those needs, then I really think one of the problems is that we're not a very cohesive society. And so loneliness has become, someone else mentioned loneliness earlier, and loneliness has become more and more of a problem. All of my work throughout my career has really been with children, and it's become more of an issue with kids because kids are more isolated. They're not going out to play. They're having a lot of electronic communication. They don't get practice in socialization. They're not solving problems on their own, and they don't have competency and a sense of competency about their social skills. So I think this is, you know, this leads to more mental illness, more anxiety, more depression. And then, in addition to that, it seems as if we are growing less tolerant of diversity, and we're becoming more polarized in our beliefs. And that only adds to the distance that's between us.
Right.
So.
Thank you.
Yeah, I started earlier by talking about the importance of having a place to put your head every night. To me, that's a major challenge in our society because the cost of housing is skyrocketed. And to have a place to come home to every night that's yours and your family's is a major challenge in our country right now. So to me, that's a very challenging thing to manage for all populations. And also, as everybody's alluding to, is that I feel like we're living in a very divisive country right now. And instead of supporting each other to come to a way of living together, it feels like there's a lot of meanness and hate. And that seems to be overwhelming us all. Instead of looking for solutions of how we can work together, we seem to just focus on the divisiveness. So I think it's right in front of us. We are so blessed in this country to have so many resources. But every morning I get up and think, what can I do to solve the issues? And I feel frightened that I don't know what's going to happen today. And how I'm going to deal with the major changes that I've worked for the past 50 years to put in place for ending homelessness and health care that we have, Medicaid and Medicare and housing and substance use and mental health treatment. We've done great strides together in our country. That seems to be unraveling. And so I really think that's our major challenge right now in our country is how we can work together instead of against each other.
Thanks, Ellen.
Now, maybe it's the human condition, but it seems that we are faced with contradictions. That we live in a time of great abundance, and yet we parcel out things to people. We reject the idea that all have some kind of equanimity. We live in this age of connectivity and communication, and yet most people feel isolated. They feel lonely, disconnected. I don't know exactly, whether it ever will be resolved. But we have this fleeting world of digital connectivity that we actually worship. And at the same time, by becoming more immersed in this world, we become more isolated. I'm reminded of Plato's cave, going back centuries, of prisoners being tied up in a cave so that they could only see one direction. And there's light in back of them, and only they see shadows. And we see shadows that aren't always real. How do we change that? I'm not sure. We have the added threat for most people of economic disaster, people living paycheck to paycheck. We have tremendous political instability, even though we think that it is black and white, right and left. It's instability that we're experiencing. And this sort of forces people to prioritize where they are, who are their friends, who are their enemies. I do it. I go into a supermarket and I see people and I say, what is their politics? Are they MAGA? Are they liberal? Are they conservative? And I don't want to do that, but I do. Because we're thrust into this world in which we have to define everything. We have to have loyalties to something without having loyalties to our community, to each other, to truth, all of these things that seemed at one time in our youth anyway, that we thought was real, that we thought was important to us. Now we're just sort of facing this world of disillusion, maybe. It's certainly questioning as to what we are as individuals, as a country, as a race, all of that. And I don't know what the solution is. I mean, most people are unhappy. And it's reflected in the way in which we have all of this played out. A lot of people don't have time to be happy. They don't have money to be happy. There's a luxury that we ill afford. I don't know. I mean, it's something that I guess we need to think about in terms of looking inward, looking to nurture compassion, to nurture understanding of other people, nurturing equanimity, that we are in this together. But this is, to me, the issue. I don't have solutions to it, but I think we have to begin by thinking about it and talking about it.
Thank you, Ron. Beautiful. All the responses are beautiful so far. Addie.
Okay. Well, we are certainly aware that society's ill has affected us all. For me, I feel that the main challenge in our society, in addition to what everyone have mentioned, is that the high cost of living. And I have a nonprofit organization in which I deliver food to people, and so I do that every bi-weekly. And when I go there, and the people are so thankful and grateful. And you can't imagine the stories they have shared with me, like some of them are waiting for their SNAP benefits or whatever bag of groceries we're able to give to them. And they are so appreciative, and they share those stories that they don't have enough, or what they're getting is not enough to get them through the month. So each time we come, we're able to give them a bag that holds them up until their SNAP benefits kicked in. So I feel that that yes, there are so many problems plaguing our society, and I guess I don't know how to prioritize those problems either. So, but definitely, since I'm firsthand involved in this, so that's what I see. That's the most prevalent. For me.
Thank you. Yeah, there's so many of them. It was hard to pick one, but the current Surgeon General said, he declared that one of the main health issues, it's almost at a pandemic level, is isolation and loneliness. Mm-hmm. And how that not only causes health issues, mentally, physically, spiritually, but it takes years off our life. And one of the greatest joys in life is our connections with each other. And I think we've been talking about that. The next one is, what's the solution, potential solution for what you think is one of the greatest problems in our society?
Yeah, I mean, as people have said, there's so many different problems that need to be addressed. But as a psychiatrist who works with kids, I would like to see us focus on building a vocabulary for children around mental illness, around healthy emotions, around resiliency. I know when I was young, the country decided, let's do a campaign and get people to stop smoking. And it was everywhere, and it very quickly became much less acceptable to smoke. I remember I read something the other day on Facebook about, remember when we were kids and we made ashtrays for our parents for gifts? We would never do that now. We would think of that as completely unacceptable to do in school. So I would like to see us as a nation really focus on mental health and get kids from a very young age to understand that it's okay to talk about how they feel, to train kids to what do you do when you have emotions that are overwhelming, to really teach them the tools of emotional regulation and resiliency and seeking help. And we have to start at a young age because these are the future leaders, and people don't know how to talk about their mental health issues. So in school, we do hearing and vision screens. We should screen kids for mental illness. It should just be something that we do. So there are some very strong school-based mental health programs, but they're not everywhere, and that would be a focus of many things that we need to do. That would be one for me.
All right, thank you. Ellen?
Well, we are in Mental Health Awareness Month and in May, and I agree with you. It has been something you hear sports figures talking about mental health much more. Thank goodness, because kids listen to sports figures, even actors and actresses. So it's very important that it's brought out into the mainstream, and okay to talk about your feelings. And what I thought would be really important to do is to find more common ground with each other, and to take a deep breath and to listen to each other, because I think we're all ready to jump on each other. I know whether it's in my family or other, friends, I have a really close friend that jumped on me really quickly when I said something different that he didn't agree with, and I had to just take a deep breath and let him do that, and then look at him and say, we love each other. We care about each other. How can we let this ruin our friendship of 50 years? And what can we find in common with each other? I've done that with family members because I work with homeless veterans. And, people are very focused and say, we're not helping homeless veterans. Well, what I do is educate folks and say, let me educate you. I met a guy in a pizza shop when he said, we're only helping immigrants. We're not helping veterans. And I said, let me just do this. Let's talk about reality. Do you know about the programs that we have done in Massachusetts to help homeless veterans, and that our numbers are down to almost nothing? No, I didn't know that. Can you tell me a little more about that? And instead of yelling at him and he yelling at me, we sat with each other and we talked to each other. And I think figuring out ways to not be so separate from each other and to listen to each other, and coming up with forums where we can, I look at some of the things, and even in our town here in Stoughton, where everybody's jumping on each other, I would like to figure out a way, and I don't respond back to some of those things. I'd love to find a way where we could sit and talk with each other and find that common ground, because bottom line, we all want the same thing. We want health for our children, a place to live. We want to communicate with each other, and stability. And to say we're not having this because someone else is taking it from us is not, in my opinion, reality, but that's how people feel. So we have to validate how they feel and then go to the next step and say, well, here's the reality, and let's go forward. But that culture of meanness is what's so upsetting to me. And so how can we change that language? Language is really important to me. Figuring out, and I don't do this all the time, but when someone says something really mean, I try and use a different word and say, let's try and change the language. Let's use something else instead of this. Can we say this differently? So trying to listen to the person, listen to their anger, and try and substitute it with something else. So how can we help each other get through this very difficult time? Because we all want the same thing. We want our children safe, we want our homes safe, and we want to, I think, live with each other and be happy. So that's just some of my thoughts.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
One of the solutions I've thought about is fostering stronger community connections. Fostering events that bring people together. I mean, in a sense, what we're doing here today is in that realm. We don't have spaces in our society where people gather on a ready basis, especially in the suburbs. So creating spaces and events for people to engage each other. Recently, I was reading about the list of the happiest nations. And year after year, Finland comes out on top. Yes, it's a small community, it's a small country, but it's also a cold country. And yet they are able to communicate and get together in the coldest of weather when it's 30 below zero. And they feel happy. America, the United States, is somewhere around 30th. I mean, and we're not the lowest. There are some that surprise me that are lower. But we have to get some kind of shared experience that brings us together in a positive way rather than in negative ways. I mean, it's just there. And mentioning mental health, it is an issue. We need more awareness of it. We need to have more access for it. We have to sort of reduce the stigma. We haven't come that far from Senator Eagleton's experience, who was McGovern's vice president and was made aware that he was receiving psychoanalysis and they had to be taken off the ticket. But we still haven't moved that far away, and that was 50 odd years ago. And we just have to have more professional accessibility for people to make it easier to get the kind of care and meeting the needs that can be met. The other thing is, and I've thought of this over time about my own life and myself, is building resilience, of finding ways to be stronger in times of crisis, and working with the community and working with people on this idea of resilience. And I think what we do, encouraging mindfulness,
Yes.
and self-care, and self-awareness, to empower people to find peace and contentment in themselves.
Nice.
And that's easily said, hard to do, but we don't emphasize it enough. Too often we divide people according to their badness rather than their goodness. And we have to change that because we're getting to a critical point, a critical mass.
Thank you.
Okay, I would like to echo Ellen and Ron, where yes, there's a lot of negativity and misunderstanding. I think we should practice giving each other a little more grace, a little more understanding. And I think that's what we're lacking. We're lacking love. And yes, there's a big divide between white and black, Democrat, Republican, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, we are living in this country that is it's very divided, more so today than ever before. But I think if we look through the lens of love and understanding, because and what we need to understand is that people are going through different trauma, different experiences. And sometimes, when someone acts a certain way, instead of being quick to judge or to reprimand or to, get back, just take a step back and think, okay, maybe this person is going through something, and as you said earlier, Ellen, that somebody did something to you and then you took a step back instead of lashing out. Mm-hmm. You took a step back. And afterwards, you had a conversation with that individual, yeah. which is the right way to do it, because you can't imagine the level of stress even as children. I've been working in the Boston Public School for many years now. Almost every year we have families that are homeless. This year in my school we have five families that are homeless. So, yes, there's a lot of terrible things that are happening. I guess if we give each other a little more grace, a little more understanding. And also, one principle that I lived with is that we are our brother's keepers. it's up to us, you know, like we have to help each other. We can't just close the door and say, I'm not doing this, I'm not going to help. And we have to be responsible. We have to be responsible to be there for those who are in need. And I just wanted to piggyback on what you said in terms of having a uniform language for children. I think there's we're not quite there yet, but we making waves in the public schools, because we do have like certain programs where we've established circles, and we help children to identify their feelings and to be able to self-regulate. So yes, there's more work that needs to be done, but we're trying. Yes.
Thank you. So I'd like to look at the big picture first. You know, when the government got involved in making us aware of cancer, the original issue was fight cancer. And that was the mantra for years, and then it became cure cancer. And the next level, I hope, will happen soon is let's prevent cancer, and that's just starting. So having a language that children can understand their emotions, to know that if we, you know, using James Thurber's quote, let us not look back in anger nor forward in fear, but around in awareness. Let's live in the moment. And how do we share that concept with people? How do we get them to know how to breathe into the moment and be right here, right now? The Dalai Lama said, if you can teach all 8-year-old children on the planet, kind of a grandiose idea, but it starts with an idea, mindfulness and meditation, which is being right here, right now, with a sense of kindness for others and themselves. In one generation, there won't be any more wars. What a thought that is. What a thought. So, do we open it up to questions now?
I do have a comment and a question. This has been great. Thank you so much for each of you to be so transparent and honest and answering the question as you straight from your heart. One of the things that I think is common, that's threaded through all dimensions of health and wellness, is that all of these are stressed right now. Every aspect of our society seems to be stressed right now. We're stressed. Our systems are stressed. Stress is like a tremendous factor in this. So, and one of the things that we know is that in terms of stress, I think a study revealed that most disease can be basically attributed to stress. Stress creates conditions that cause disease, right? So how do we start, I guess, combating all this stuff that you talked about, all the issues that are in society? We have so many different aspects where we're so stressed and stretched, and we're divided and we're polarized, and we don't have access to things that we need, just the basic things that we need to live, to survive. How do we start? Like, I've heard a number of different things here, such as we need to come together and have a common language. We need to connect more with people who may not necessarily think like us, but just to start the conversation, to talk, to kind of, open up a dialogue. When it boils right down to it, what do we do? What can we do? What can we do as a person who's having all sorts of stress? How do we take care of ourselves when we're surrounded by all that's going on?
Yeah, one of the things I think that's important for people to be aware of related to mental health and children's services as well as adult services in Massachusetts, and I'm going to talk about what I know, is the Commonwealth has come up with a new model called the Community Behavioral Health Center. The goal of those centers, and my agency is one of those, but there are centers all over the Commonwealth now, is to make behavioral health services accessible. so that people aren't going into emergency rooms to get treatment for both mental health and substance use disorder. So that if you need help, you can walk into one of these centers, and I'm happy to give resources out as needed. So in ours, for example, in Taunton, if you walk in the door, you are seen that day. And community behavioral health centers are designed so that anyone who walks in has an intake that day, either for a crisis need or to set up ongoing services, because it's really critical. And there's also the community service agencies serve children in the Massachusetts. And there's something called Systems of Care. That's a meeting where all local agencies come together to talk about how to serve children, in need. So there are resources, and the mass.gov, if you go on mass.gov and you Google any of those services, it will come up. You can see the list of all the community behavioral health centers, and you can see, all the different services for children. Are we perfect in the Commonwealth? No, but there are a lot of resources for that. As far as homeless services, we have a system under the continuum of care. In Massachusetts, we do what the federal government asks us to do, unless that changes, and it's probably going to, called coordinated entry. Coordinated entry is a system that is set up so that people don't have to go to 10 different places. They call the coordinated entry line, and they can be served. Individuals can receive support that they need to get on the list that they need to get into housing. So what I'm trying to say is, I find a lot of times people don't know what the resources are. And so most of us do resource guides. We have a street sheet, for example, in our area that we give out when we go out to see homeless individuals. We hand out the street sheet, which has all of the list of what services are available. I know for me, if I see a homeless individual, I am my brother's keeper, my sister's keeper, everybody's keeper. I don't walk away. That's just me. I need to help get them the resource they need. So I'll either redirect them to our coordinated entry department or our recovery center or something. And, I just need to say what is going on, and here's where you need to go. Because a lot of times people just don't know what's the first step to take to deal with the stress that they're dealing with. And so having those tools that you need to be able to give to folks to tell them it's okay, you can get help. It's okay to say, I need help. To have a counselor, a therapist, even to take medication if you need it. Personally, I support, particularly for folks with substance use disorders, medication-assisted treatment. That used to be you never supported medication for someone who had an addiction. To me, you're saving lives. And so I'm a big proponent of all types of recovery. And so each human being has different ways and different paths to connecting to the services and supports that they need to lower their stress level. So we all have stress, but there are ways that people can get the services and supports that they need. Many times we duplicate each other's services and supports, and we need to talk to each other more. I get frustrated, when I hear that.
I think, may I interject? I think, there's, as you mentioned, there's so many stresses out there and stressors and things that stress us out. But I think before it gets to that level where you need the outside help, outside support, it's good to be aware of what's available to you. However, you have to know yourself. When you need a day off, you need a mental health day, you take it. And if you need self-care, you do that, because you have to love on yourself, because if you don't, no one else will. No one else will. So you just have to know yourself enough to know, okay, I need some time. I need some time to myself. So you have to invest in that.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. I, being in the self-care / wellness business, This is one of the reasons why I got into it, is because of all of the stress that I saw all around me, in me, and so that's why Wings Wellness was created. But Ellen, to your point, before we get to the point where where people are dealing with sort of really dire issues like the homelessness, like drug abuse. They're like everyday people who have stress from work, have stress from family. How do we share information so that we can, regardless of what level a person needs assistance at?
Yeah, I have to differ in one thing. Bottom line is everybody's got something going on, and it doesn't have to be to the level of that you've lost everything or you are in the throes of addiction to ask for some basic support around stress. I think that personally, counseling is good for everybody, and there's nothing wrong with getting support that you need. I think people feel that, oh my God, I must be really sick if I need support like that. I think before it gets to the point where things are so out of control, there's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, I could use some support for myself. We have changed the language. We don't call, and I'm not trying to contradict you, but we don't use the word abuse in the field anymore. It's, if people use drugs because it's covering up something else that they're struggling with, sometimes it's they're dealing with other issues, and so the drug will help them to deal with that other issue. So they're using something. It's
like
not
a coping mechanism.
Yeah, and so abuse is to me a negative word. So or an addict, we don't use that word because you're making that person into something bad, and really they're dealing with a stress and they're dealing with something, so that they use something else to cover the struggle that they're dealing with. So we want people to get the help they need early, and feel that doesn't mean that there's something bad with them.
Right. So I know other people on the panel want to add something, but I'd like to add something. It's about, as you said, Tanya, it's and other people have said, self-care. And what does self-care include? How do we balance our lives? That's the question. Do we have good sleeping habits? Do we eat healthy? Do we exercise? Do we associate with positive people? How do we use our free time? Do we sit in front of the TV for 8 hours on the weekend? Or are there other things we can do? So those are the questions I have. And I think that's a start for me. Anybody else have any comments?
Well, I think one of the things that we can do is do things for and with other people. And so we're kind of talking about this triangle of care, right? The very tip of the triangle is the people who need the most acute care. But all of us, as you've said, can benefit from, self-care, from reaching out for kind of targeted support, but also just from being with other people. And this goes back to the whole issue of loneliness, isolation, being polarized. If we were together, talking, sharing activities, it feels great to do things for other people.
Right.
It feels great to have people do stuff for us. So, getting out of the house, getting out, and whether it be, some people do it through religious organizations, they do it through political organizations, they do it through scouting or, veterans organizations, but really getting out and talking to other people and doing things for other people.
Absolutely.
Terrific panel, because we have so many different perspectives. Once somebody wise said, we can't give answers unless we understand the questions. And a lot of things were brought up about polarizations and why are we like that. It's genetically inherent from the beginning of humankind to realize that we have a fight or flight in us, meaning that we all try to survive. And the way we're going about surviving is causing a tremendous amount of stress and conflict. Listening to everybody here, we're all trying to search for solutions. wonderful clinicians, wonderful historians, a child psychiatrist, an educator for over 45 years, and Alan, a true humanitarian from the 20 years that I've known him. And it started off with a joke we told to each other. It was a clean one in a gym. And the thing is that the point being made is we started a relationship by just sharing commonality. And that was brought out here. And I just wanted to elaborate on that perspective, not necessarily to ask a question, but to say thank you.
One of the reasons that we do get polarized, just as you said, is that the unknown makes us feel agitated or hyper aroused, right? And the more we expose ourselves to the unknown, the easier it is for us to calm down. And so it comes back to the getting together with people that you feel uncomfortable with, sitting down and having a conversation. Okay, I understand that you believe this thing that's very different than I believe. Talk to me about that. What is it why does this matter to you? Why is this the most important matter that you're voting on, or that the work that you're doing? And it is quite amazing how often we have much, much, much more in common than we have in different. But we just tend in social media and in other places to just only talk about the things that we don't have in common, and to yell at each other and
Yes.
criticize each other and one-up each other.
You know, there was Alison reminds me of a song that goes back to the 60s, and I think it was called Reach Out in the Darkness, or something along those lines. And I remember the words vividly. And there was a man that I didn't much care for. And then one day we sat down and we talked about things that were on our mind.
Yes.
And now this man is a friend of mine.
Yes.
We got it back then.
Yeah.
So where did we lose it along the way? So
Right.
it's kind of where it goes.
Yeah, I think the musicians, the author is friends and lovers, the
Yes.
performers. Does that ring a bell with anybody?
Yes, it does. I love that song.
Music is really key. Music is key with the lyrics, how it makes you feel. And as I get older, I realize how important it is for me to not judge the other person who I'm sitting with, to listen to them with an open mind. And as I go through life, what gives me more joy is to see things with a beginner's mind. So I'm seeing it for the first time, and I want to hear something for the first time, even though I've heard it 100 times. Maybe the next time I hear it, it'll ring a bell. Light travels at 186,000 miles a second. I'm 71 years old now, but sometimes it takes 71 years for one thought to penetrate 1/4 inch of skull. So.
One thing I've learned in all the work I've done over the years is I learn every day from someone else. And my staff, much younger than me now, every day if I listen to them, they'll say, well, how about if we try it this way? And I say, oh my God, I think to myself, that's just not going to work. And then I say, okay, let's try it. And it just may work, and it might not work. But you know what? We have to validate each other and give people chances to try something new. And it just might be something incredible. So I've learned over the years to really try and keep an open mind, to try new things. So.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from there? We can go back to the last part of the content of what we had. And what do you see yourself doing now to address those issues that we have identified, if anything? And if it's just a conversation about what to do next, that's okay too, because we're thinking about it. We have it in our consciousness, and we can go in any order.
Well, I can start. I mean, I used to be very involved in the community, and then decided I'd done it long enough. And recently I've decided I have to get back involved. Mostly because I want to know what's going on, but also I still have something to contribute. And I think that's one way of, I mean, my life has changed when my wife died, so I have more time to do this.
Sorry for your loss.
It's interesting, around January I started thinking, well, should I run for office again? I've done that. And I sort of canceled that out. And then lo and behold, I found, that there were several openings and some people got elected that probably shouldn't have gotten elected. And I had held some office, so I think people still remember me, but I don't know. But it would have been a test. But nonetheless, I feel I need to be more involved with people. It's interesting, I've been spending the last 3 or 4 months tutoring Buddhist monks in English. And it's this awareness that I never thought of before. They speak Thai, very little English. They're of a different world totally than I am. I have, we both are at polar ends of experience. I'm growing, in a way that I'm understanding them, and they are thrilled to be able to learn some English. And I think that's the kind of thing that happens. We need to be involved because it's an exchange. We learn from others, we get something from others, we give to others. And we have to do more of that. And we have to share. It's a shared experience.
All right, thank you. So we have a little less than 2 minutes left. So if I can focus on the panel, and if there's one quote or one thoughts that you'd like to share to end this session, and hopefully we'll all be back again as a panel with continued conversation. You can go in any order.
I would just like to say thank you. I think it's important that we take care of ourselves, as everybody said. I haven't done that in a long time. I usually take care of everybody else. So I have been thinking of what can I do to take care of my own health so that I can continue to take care of others. So I think wellness is a balance between taking care of myself so I can be there for others.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest deficits that we have is empathy, and that if people can try to put themselves in other people's shoes, it would take us so far. So that, I guess I would leave it with that.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I would share the adage that I live by: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Yes. And I think if we all follow this golden rule, this world would be a better place. Yes.
I agree, and one of my mantras is to lead with love and compassion. And if everybody did that more, I think that would be a tipping point in changing the way we all get along with each other. Malcolm Gladwell wrote that book called The Tipping Point. Just a little bit more in one direction than the other, and hopefully it's love and compassion. It'll start to work mysteriously and fast. Thank you. Thank you, panels.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, studio audience, for coming.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks.